the X-Wing started to open. I was like, uh-oh. I know what that means.
I forgot how that.
Hello, welcome to a podcast named Tim, and this is my review for Luca, which of course just dropped on Disney Plus. Before we get into the review of this Disney Pixar film, please do give the video a thumbs up, and of course subscribe to the channel for all of our Star Wars, Power Rangers, and movie reviews, discussions, etc. So, Luca currently has a 7.6 on IMDb. 88 from the audience score and an 89 from the tomato meter. Of course, PG rating, 1 hour and 35-minute runtime. You may be asking, what is Luca? Because to me, I don't know if this was as promoted as some of the other Disney films have been. I think they did a decent push towards the end, but I could see a lot of people forgetting that this was coming out. Basically, there is a small Italian village. Outside of it, in the waters, there is a bunch of sea monsters. They look like people, but it's not mermaids this time. They look like, I guess, kind of like creatures of the Black Lagoon, but Pixar, Disneyfied, and but it's a tale as old as time. The young boy in this film wants to just see the world. He wants to see what the humans do, just like the Little Mermaid. But when his parents try and force him to stay under and are a little bit trying to send him away to the deep, he decides to go to the Italian village and venture off on his own into the world. There will be spoilers in this because to me, you're here, you've probably seen the movie. I would say overall, the music was good. I really enjoyed the music in the film. I liked a lot of the characters. Some of the story beats, again, we have seen in have you seen a Disney film? And so it kind of had that 90s Disney quality to it, as far as like it has a lot of Little Mermaid feel to it in some respects. But we're hitting a lot of familiar story beats, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. In the end, what I asked for my Disney Pixar movies is, did you get me here in the heart? And I watched it in parts because children got to take breaks and everything. But it still got to me. It wasn't Coco levels of crying. But I had to fight some back at the end a little bit. It was touching. So, hey, if a movie can do that, it's doing something right. But let's get into some spoilers. So again, the Luca, our titular character, he is kind of, I don't want to say he's bland. He's very inquisitive and curious. Those are probably the exact same thing. I think I just used the thesaurus mentally, but that's kind of his only qualities. He has an innocence to him, and he kind of has what every child does in a lot of these movies. Is when the parents crush the grip of what they're allowed to do, he slips through the fingers. If I can use a Star Wars reference or paraphrase a Star Wars movie. Alberto, who he meets, I thought was really interesting. He's kind of a very sure of himself boy who clearly is on his own, but he pretends like he knows everything, and he like everything's fine. Just very positive. Kind of troublemaker, but heart of gold. He's the, again, Star Wars reference. He's the Han Solo here. He's got the heart of gold, even though he's got a rough exterior. And then of course we also meet Julia, who is a young girl in town who wants to win a race. That's the main plot device, the thing that's moving the story forward in this movie. And basically, if you win this race, it's a triathlon. It was kind of a weird triathlon. You had to swim, like around a buoy. Then you have to go eat pasta. and then you have to ride a bike all the way up this hill and then all the way back to the finish line. And it's promoted by like a local pasta maker in town. But Julia has never won. If I can, oh my God, I'll show you how many Star Wars references there are in here. Just like Anakin Skywalker, Annie, little Annie, she's never won. She's never even finished a race. And now she wants to, she's going to do it this time. I did not realize how many like weird Star Wars, but mainly because, George uses so many just blank slate character ideas in some respects. But basically Alberto and Luca are going to team up with her. And you may be wondering, how's that going to happen? They're sea monsters. And this town that they're in hates sea monsters, as normal human towns do. Well, the interesting thing that you find out in this movie is that when the sea monsters leave the water, they turn into humans when they touch dry land. And then they go back in the sea, they turn into sea monsters. And if they're actually walking around, any part of their body that gets wet immediately turns back to sea monster. Anything that's dry is human. So it's an interesting way to kind of hide them in plain sight in this movie, and creates a lot of tension because people are there's a lot of avoiding of water in this town. I don't know if I quite understand the lore, because I don't know if it was clear to me. I need to watch it again. If Luca's parents knew about this transformation process. I don't think they did. His grandmother clearly did, and she said at one point that she goes to the human village like basically every weekend, and because it was weird because his parents were like, don't go to the human place, humans are evil. But then we see the sea monsters turn into humans. So I was just curious what that was going to be all about, or if the parents knew, and just I don't know. It just, because it would change, to me, it would change their reasoning behind not wanting him to go to the human world to visit if they knew this transformation was going to occur. But anyway, that's kind of the most interesting thing to chew on from this movie in that respect. But there's also in this film our villain is a probably, I don't know, late teens, low 20s, sore winner, I guess might be the best way to describe him. He is entering this triathlon every year and has won like 6 years in a row, despite the fact that it's clearly a kids competition. And he's just, smacking people around, very just, atypical jerk. And of course, we have to beat him in said race. But a lot of the film is about just the bonds of friendship and understanding appreciating someone for who they are, not what you think they are, and getting rid of your prejudice. All the good lessons you would expect in a kids movie. And I would say the most touching part, of course, was the end of the film, where Luca has been really interested in going to school and learning more. Him and Alberto have a falling out, of course, because Alberto doesn't want him to flee. Their game plan is basically, we're going to win this race and then use the money to buy a Vespa. That's what is capture their imagination, because then they can go see the world as they want. And Luca really wants to go to school to learn. And Alberto is just like, that's boring, that's lame. I don't know if, again, because he's just unsure of himself and his intelligence, and his father leaving, so there's a lot of dynamics of that. But in the end of the movie, of course, they win the race. They get a Vespa, but it is sold, and Alberto turns in the Vespa and buys a train ticket so his best friend can go off to school at another place. And he decides to stay back, and he's just going to be a fisherman and work the docks. And so very heartwarming there. I think on a second or third viewing, I definitely would appreciate it more, because in some respects it felt generic, which I know is weird to say about a movie with people or sea monsters turning to people. And Vespas and triathlons featuring pasta, but just the idea of I want to go see the world. I live in the ocean, and you're going to the human world, dad. Just a lot of those elements kind of felt very samey, but I think on a second viewing, I'd probably appreciate it a lot more. It is worth your time. If especially if as always, if you need to just put something on for the kids to pay attention to. There's no music really in it, but the background music, there's no like singing, it's not a musical, but the background music in it was excellent. And yeah, I think the more I talk about it, the more I want to watch it again to pay attention more, to understand if the parents knew about the transformation. I'm sure there are people in the comments being like, obviously they did, or obviously they didn't, but I'd like to see that again. So that's my thoughts on Luca, which again is on Disney Plus, originally supposed to be in theaters, but the world. And that's pretty much all I have. We'll see you next time here on a podcast named Tim.